We're Loops and Labbars, and as you've probably been seeing on social media and things like that, we're at Portaventura World. Doing this one a little bit differently, because as you probably noticed in previous vlogs, we end up getting, doing a bit of camera work, and then ride, and then forgetting to do the camera work. So, we've just on purpose forgotten to do the camera work. This is our third day here, isn't it? Third and final full day. We've done Ferrari Land, we've done the hotels, we've done a lot of the roller coasters here. So we're going to do some of the flat rides today and talk about the roller coasters in between times. But this morning, got into the park and we had to go on. Just got to try and get the pronunciation right. Basically, it's Feathered Serpent. It's Serpentia.
Serpentia empalada, I think is
something like that. Yeah, but anyway, it's basically it's an octopus ride if you've ever ridden one of those. Really good fun, nice and forceful. One that I've kind of been looking forward to getting on for a long time because it's one of those sort of
rare rides now.
Kind of classics, yeah. It looks like it's built by Schwarzkopf as well, which is something interesting. And then once we did that, we went on to
Hurricane Condor,
which is the tallest drop tower that we've ever done. And really good.
Yeah, not as scary as it looks. Still scary enough because you're up 370 odd feet before you dropped, and they've got a couple of seating options. You can have normal seats like you do, sort of, so you're regular seated as you would in a normal drop tower.
Sitting down.
Or you can have essentially free full sort of stand-up
towers, yeah.
Stand-up towers. We went for the seated down because I was not doing standing up.
Yeah, basically, if you've ever done Apocalypse, it's Apocalypse, but just bigger in every way. Exactly the same sort of layout, 5 towers around a central column. Though they're only running two, so I don't know if it seems to be curtains for these kinds of rides, because obviously Apocalypse is gone. This one's only running 2 towers. I think Dalton Terror was running them all at Wallaby, Belgium, but it's a shame that they're only running 2 out of the 5 towers, but we didn't wait a massively long time because we were there for queue opening, which is something we'll probably go into a bit later on in the day, is the queue times and things like that, because the other day when we did all the roller coasters we did buy the express passes, so it's not fair to say that the queues have been great or queues have been terrible. But while we're here, we might as well talk about Uncharted, because queues, that was the one that we did on the very first morning of arriving here. We got into queue for that and we queued for about 2 hours.
We did, yeah.
It did feel like you were going from queue to queue to queue because you were getting batched onto different parts. However, I wouldn't queue for it again for as long as we did.
No.
But I will ride it again because it was great fun.
It was, yeah. Nice little fun coaster. I personally didn't feel that it needed all the 5 launches it's got in there, and I think they've done that as a bit of bragging rights essentially. But that said though, it didn't spoil it.
Yeah.
And it's a unique ride. It really, really is, and it's nice to see kind of the European parks sort of taking on essentially Disney and Universal in terms of rides and theming.
And also using IPs that haven't been used before.
And IPs as well.
I don't really necessarily think that Uncharted fits in with the area that it's in. I think because it's in the Far West area, I think it probably would fit in better with the Mexico area. But the ride was really good. It was nice to see Uncharted being used as opposed to Indiana Jones or something like that, because they are very similar. I think Tomb Raider's had rides, so it's about time that Uncharted got one. And I do feel that it could have been done a little bit differently. I would have done things a lot differently myself, because I'm a big fan of the film series, the game series, and I've only recently just watched the film. But it was good. Really sort of nice, good hardware. Not quite as steamed up inside as what it could be, but as I'm going to write in my blog, it didn't feel like there was nothing to look at. There was no parts in the ride we thought, oh, this is a bit dull. It was always, a nice little adrenaline-filled ride. So that was...
Yeah, and I'd like to see potentially if they did anything with it for a scare maze maybe, because the initial sort of walkthrough when you get in out of the first cattle pen would make a really, really good walkthrough sort of scare maze zone.
To be fair, I mentioned that actually because you've not played the games, have you? But a lot of the, at least the first and second games specifically, they deal with quite a lot of supernatural, so that would work.
So it would be nice if they did something maybe like that for Halloween. Potentially, but so hopefully watch this space.
But that's way beyond our decisions, is that. So that's Feathered Serpent, as we're calling it, Hurricane Condor and Uncharted. We'll carry on with the day. I think next we're going to move on to Yucatan and just do some more rides in the Mexico area before moving and probably back into Old West and seeing what's in there. So we'll see you in a bit.
We will.
Hey up.
Hello.
So continuing on from where we've been in the Mexican area, we finished on last update, and then we moved on to
Yucatan,
which I think is a Monte Carlo or a Sierra Leone ride. You'll see it in the video anyway. Really basic, just as it does. It was all right, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Nice little ride, nicely themed up as well, which was nice to see.
Yeah, and then from there we moved on to
Tempo de Fuego,
which I'm going to leave that for a moment actually, because we've got two others to talk about. The Secrets of the Mayas, which is mermaids. That's not what we was expecting.
No.
Got through it pretty quick there, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We got through pretty quick, but it's quite a big mirror maze and it's quite fun to do.
Yeah, because if you've done Black Mirror Labyrinth at Thorpe Park, very similar to that, not as sort of technically advanced, but the mirror maze is longer, and there are points where you come into an area and there are 7 or 8 different places you can go through. But yeah, it's worth a pop in. And then we did Los Potrillos, which is a little horse ride.
We like our little horse rides.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just one of those things that's a good bit of fun. But as I alluded to earlier on, Templo del Fuego, or the Temple of Fire. Now, I've seen a few things online about this one being a bit sort of temperamental and there. When you come, do it. Absolutely do it. Put spoilers here, because when you go in, it is a walkthrough attraction. There's a sort of a show with a guide, and they do the some of the segments in English as well as either Catalan or Spanish. Not entirely sure what language they're speaking, unfortunately, but the important parts are in English, which is very nice.
Yeah. But even that said, though, it's sort of your standard stuff. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to work out kind of what's going to happen and what the guide's doing. It's fairly simple to understand, even if you don't get the English translation.
Yeah, so there's the first room, and then we moved into a second room after we'd opened the gate, where the Temple of Fire actually is, and it is in the name, the Temple of Fire. There is fire. There is a lot of fire. It puts Valhalla to shame.
It does. Yeah, for any of you that have ever done the Twister ride at Universal Studios, you're gonna love this. It's so much better. Okay, there's no flying cow, admittedly,
but there is a lot of fire.
But there is a lot of fire and water and effects. It's really, really, really well done.
It was a lot better than I was expecting. I don't know. I didn't know what I was going into. I was expecting like a walkthrough with the occasional burst of fire or something like that. Very similar to actually what the Mirror Maze was, but obviously without the Mirror Maze. But no, it's nothing like that. It's more of a show. There's the platform moves very slightly. There's fire, there's water effects, there's props, and the guides running around doing all sorts of things. It feels like Indiana Jones, but with actual fire. Really, really pleased with that one. So that's those 4 rides. Now, I think next we're going to carry on walking around. Next up sort of is the Shambhala Dragon Khan area. We'll talk about those when we get into the area, because we're probably not going to be riding them at least until later on. I think next it's going to be the sort of the China area. Get some flat rides on there. Hello, it's the 4th and final day we're on now.
It is, yeah.
And I'm just going to interject at this point. I do apologise for the sheer amount of jump cuts that you're probably going to see. I've never recorded one of these over multiple days, so I do apologise for that in advance. But anyway, now I'm going to talk to you about El Diablo. What is it? La Tren de Mina, which is the Devil Mine Train, I believe it actually literally translates to. But it's a mine train made by Aerodynamics, and it's hybrid, which means that you've got steel rails running on wooden supports. It looks the part. and it rides the part for the most part, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's a brilliant little mine train. I say little, it's got 3 lift hills. It's got a really nice layout. It is a bit jerky in places, so you are aware that yes, you're on a mine train, so you still get that mine train feeling. It's got a nice bit of interaction with the log flume and also itself and also the train that goes around the park as well, which is nice to see. And it's just really well done.
Yeah, it could be a bit more aggressive in places, I think. But considering the age and the fact it's made by Arrow, it does have a very similar sort of whiff of Big One in that there's long parts that are. Why have they profiled it like that? But that's by the by. So that's El Diablo, really lovely family ride. Everyone can enjoy that. So just had a walk through the Shambhala area and China. There are no rides up by Shambhala and Dragon Khan, apart from Shambhala and Dragon Khan, of which might as well talk about Dragon Khan first. Bit of an older coaster, but it's I think it's the first one for me, a B&M sit-down, and it was built or designed by John Wardley, which is nice, same guy that did Nemesis, and it offers quite a lot for its layout. I think there's 7 inversions. It's intense, it's tight, it makes a proper racket, and I'm going to have to cut off in a second because it is just about to drop. So I'll turn you around, and this is Dragon Khan. Noise is there, very reminiscent of the original Nemesis, but yeah, quite comfortable trains, easily accessible for larger bodies and things like that. I thoroughly enjoyed Dragon Khan.
Yeah, nice little ride. It is a bit rattly.
Yeah, it's rattly. It's just coming down again. Rattly, noisy, and things like that. It does give a bit of headbanging, but it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not infusion levels of rough.
Yeah, considering its age and whatnot, it's one of those. Yeah, you get a free pass Dragon Khan. You're absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And obviously the other one in the area, which unfortunately only one of us can talk about, is Shambhala. So I'll take you for the ride on that one. It's phenomenal. It's not the tallest, it's not the fastest roller coaster in the world, but it is incredibly smooth. It's incredibly pleasant. It's just a lovely ride from start to finish. The only downside to it is that because it's got clamshell restraints and it's an 11-year-old coaster, it's not really designed for people of larger bodies. So unfortunately, Tracy couldn't ride it, which I'm not sure that she was too worried about.
No, I wasn't. So I wasn't worried about not riding it. But it's quite a tall coaster.
Yeah, it is a tall beastie, and it is quite nice and fast, but it is incredibly smooth. It's just a wonderful ride. There goes Shambhala now. Lovely sound. So that's Shambhala and Dragon Khan. I think now we're going to go find some dinner, possibly head into the Sesame Street area and go back a few years. One of those little quirks of not being in the UK is having what is essentially a waist-high wall stopping you from going onto the roller coaster. You can almost sort of touch it, and I like that. I like the fact that it's trusting of people not to be, idiots, cross the barrier to then run onto the roller coaster and get, squashed by it. So it's fun. Oh, that's timing, is that? I've got other things to talk about first before we get on to that. So since last update, we went to Sesame Street, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
And a lot of kids rides, a lot of stuff that you didn't expect from a kids area.
Yeah.
But the highlight of the area was
Mission Street.
Street Mission.
Street Mission.
Yes. Mixture of screens and animatronics. Dark shooting ride. Trackless dark ride. Really good fun, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It's a little bit like Mouse or Chocolat, and if you're into Sesame Street, you're going to absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Scoring system was a bit fairer. I actually managed to keep done with you for
keep
one.
pace, yeah. But yeah, it sees you, from what I understood, shooting parts of cookies, and the more cookies you shoot, the more points you get. Grover takes you along for the ride, and you meet all the other Sesame Street characters. Some of them are physical animatronics, others are just screen based, but it was good fun.
Yeah, and there's a really, really big sort of 3D section in there, which you don't see and you don't expect at all with them type of rides.
Yeah,
which was really kind of different.
It went from being a shooting dart ride to shoot as quick as you can because you're now on sort of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, experience that for yourself. You'll see that. Then there was Tammy Tammy, which was just a little
kids junior coaster.
I believe it was exactly the same model as Walking Dead at Thorpe Park, because the trains felt very similar, but nothing like as long or as thrilling, I suppose.
No.
And then we're as you can probably see, we're in the Mediterranean area, of which I believe there's only one ride here, and it's the one that's definitely worth talking about, Furious Backhoe, which through 3 or 4 days of trying to figure out, we've figured out there is some form of contraption for collecting grapes and here it comes again. So Furious Backhoe translates to Furious Bacchus. Bacchus is the Greek god of the vine or of wine, which I thought it was
bacon initially.
Yeah, but yes. Anyway, I think it's really good fun. Now, it is rough as all buggery, because it's a wing coaster, because the wing is above the track as opposed to being on the side of the track like it is on other wing coasters. The outside seats do bounce something chronic. I will put the on-ride video on here that we paid for, that we recorded our ride, and you'll see just quite how much that we shift. Yeah. But I liked it for that. I like the fact that it came across as a completely unhinged catapulting mechanism, and it felt like it.
It did, yeah. The launch on it's really, really good, and it does what it does, and it does it well. Yes, it is a little bit rattly. The inside seats where I sat far less rattlier than the outside seats. But still quite a bit. I've still got off it like, I'm thankful I did not wear my sunglasses on that one.
Yeah, no, it was completely unhinged. It's definitely out of the intermittent accelerator coasters, it's the most insane. And for me, I think I prefer it to Stealth and Rita, which means it's going to be quite high up in my listings, and everyone's going, "Oh, it's Furious Backhoe. Why do you like it? It's a rattle box and whatnot." But I like it because of that. I think it was really, really good fun. I don't know whether I prefer that or Red Force, and that is a big one, but that's obviously something for me to decide a bit later on. Now we're going to leave Mediterranean. We're moving back into the far west area, because we're going to go and see one of the shows and hopefully get on a couple of rides after that before our tea, because we're having our tea in the Iron Horse
tonight,
as opposed to being in the hotel, which, as alluded to, you can eat in the hotels or you can eat in the park. We've got a €19 limit tonight when we do eat at the Iron Horse, so that's all I'm going to spend. Might get a beer or something like that with my tea and just thoroughly enjoy it.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll update you after tea.
We will.
This is last night. We ate in the Iron Horse, as we say. We got €19 allowance because we're on half board with the hotel. You got the choice of eating in the hotel, which you book for, or you can book in the park. I've seen 3 options, but the Iron Horse has been the only one we've ever really managed to get into. So that's where we ate last night. We had 2 hamburgers and a beer.
Aberdeen Angus burgers and chips with beers as well. We had to obviously pay the extra for the beers, which is fine. That's not a problem. The burgers themselves, really, really tasty, all freshly made kind of in front of you, as you'd expect from a lot of the European parks. The only sort of issue was they were sort of €18 a piece. So it is one of the slightly more expensive places, and even though the food was nice, we didn't come away feeling it was great value for money.
No, but saying that,
yeah.
I don't mind paying more when you're getting other things. So, for example, if the gate price is cheaper, I mean, our whole booking, I'll go into the booking a bit later on, but we've not paid an awful lot to get here, so I don't mind paying more for things when we're in the park, such as express passes and things like that. That's obviously my personal opinion. Somebody's going to see an €18 burger and go, no, that's ridiculous, which is completely fine, but it was tasty nonetheless.
Yeah.
Everything else that we've had in the park, we had it was supposed to be a burrito, wasn't it? It was a wrap with some nachos, and they were quite tasty. We had a burger the other day as well. You know, we've not really done much in the way of exotic foods.
No.
But everything we've eaten in the park has been fine. And not too unreasonably priced. Some of the things you'd be talking, what is it, €14-15 for what they call menu or meal, which gets you usually your main, which is going to be a burger, your wrap, whatever, a drink and a side. So it's not too bad at all.
And the other thing we did last night was the Bang Bang stunt show.
Yeah, Bang Bang West, which was exactly like watching something by Hanna-Barbera or something like that, you know, one of the really, really early slapstick cartoons. It was phenomenally good fun. Fun for all the family. There are a lot of use of guns and things like that, so obviously if you're not into that, then do be aware, but it is a Wild West show, kind of expect that. Lots of loud noises, as you also expect with the name Bang Bang West. Just sheer joy to watch from start to finish. Everyone was having a good time, and you were pointing out about participation, weren't you?
There was audience participation at the start, and they had 2 guys from the audience. One ended up being a bit rubbish, as voted by the audience, and he got left alone. The guy that actually won the audience participation got to be an actual part of the show. Now, if like me, you're quite in for your audience participation, stick your hand up and go for it, because a lot of these things are kind of once in a lifetime opportunities things, and they're great fun. I've done audience participation with shows at theme parks, and I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it did look like the guy was enjoying himself yesterday, and we enjoyed watching, because he felt like he was out of place, and that felt like it worked with the show, because he was constantly, what am I doing, and it just worked so well. But everybody did their parts really well. It just felt cheesy and corny and over the top and wonderful.
The show we saw is predominantly in Spanish. However, they do have some English speaking parts through it, but it's sort of broad enough that even if you haven't got them English speaking parts, you can work out what's going on and sort of who the bad guys are and what the story is and what they're doing.
And for the most part, it wasn't really talking. There was the occasional sort of shouts of this and that, but you didn't really need to worry about language. And that's something else I'll just touch on. Very few language barriers here. A lot of the shows, whether it's Temple del Fuego, Bang Bang West, or any of the ones in Ferrari World, they've either got subtitles, or they will do this and this in Catalan, this and this in Spanish, and this and this in English. So you'll probably find that there's part of it that is English that tells you the most important information. So which I quite like that. I don't feel like they needed to do that, but I like that, and I don't know whether that's got anything to do with the fact that Two Swords helped build this place. So I don't know if they're doing that.
And sort of on that, with the sort of speaking and all that, when you're in the shops, the majority of the staff are bilingual.
Or multilingual.
So they do understand English, however, for a lot of them though, English is their second language, so there might be things that you might have to sit there and just sort of rephrase slightly so they understand it, so they can understand you.
Yeah, and then they can tell you back. But there hasn't been many issues here at all, which has been nice. So that's Bang Bang West and just general things around the park. So it's getting on a little bit, as you can probably notice. Finally got a light sorted for this, so you can actually see us at night. And we're in the far west area. And a couple of days ago we did Stampede for the first time. So I'm just going to let you some thoughts on that one. It's quite rough and ready, isn't it?
It is, yes. It's not as rough as Grand National, but if you've done Megaphobia, it can be as rough as that in places.
Old Megaphobia, obviously, 'cause it's just been rechecked.
Yeah.
But, same manufacturer as Phobia, but yeah, it does feel that just on the cusp of being just right. There are points where you feel the same as you do on Grand National, where you properly drop.
Yeah. Existence is pain.
Yeah, but others it's not so bad. And on some it's not so bad. You can probably hear in the background Tomahawk, which is Stampede's little brother, which is lovely in every way. Really, is that one?
Yeah. For a Woody and a junior Woody at that, it is as smooth as butter.
Yeah.
It's insane the difference between the two.
Yeah,
it really, really is.
Even given the fact that they're both by the same manufacturer. And there goes Stampede going by. All three of these are the same manufacturer. They're all CCI, Custom Coasters International, I believe. And yeah, there's night and day difference between Tomahawk and Stampede. Yeah, granted, Stampede is the bigger coaster. Tomahawk's the junior one, but I've never been on a Woody that's as smooth. It makes Wickerman feel like, unhinged, comparative.
It does,
it's lovely. And then in the final ride that we've done in this area is what was it called? Volpute, which not entirely sure what that translates to, but it's basically our very first Huss Super Bowl. And it was very tame, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
We were expecting to spin a lot more than we were, and it was more of a gentle rocking motion than anything else. I don't know if it's got the same problems that a lot of the Huss Enterprises have got, in that they're that old now that they can't run at sort of full steam. So if you want one of those, go to a fair. That one is very tame. So if you want to experience one but don't want the full force, that one will be great. Same as a lot of Enterprises in the UK. If you want full force, probably best to avoid that one and go to a fair. Here we are, that's our room. Oh yes, the aircon is wonderful. As you can see, we've moved it a little bit, because this is our third official day here, isn't it? So yeah, we're only just giving you the sort of look around now, but this is what you'd be getting if you were stopping in the Hotel El Paso. So you do get a table with two chairs. Our two chairs are outside, drying off things. Nice, relatively comfy double bed. The only thing that I'm not a big fan of is the fact that they've got the two pillows, but then the one underneath is joined. That's about the only sort of thing I'd say about sleeping. Plug sockets by the bed. Got a nice sort of big TV.
Air conditioning. Once it's been on a while, it does cool the room really, really nice as well. So if you get too hot during the night, you're generally fine. Leave it on all night, and you'll be putting covers on halfway through. Yeah,
just to reiterate, because I don't know if you've probably heard what Tracy said there, but aircon's good. Leave it on as you go to bed. By the time you get to halfway through the night, you're probably going to want to put covers back on because it does get nice and cool in here. Not much in terms of anything interesting in the cupboards and whatnot. Plenty of storage in the cupboards, and there is in here. I'm just going to get Tracy's bag off here. There is a safe, which is quite roomy and whatnot, and it's very handy to have, especially if you, like me, you've got all sorts of junk. And then moving on from there, we're into the bathroom, which once again we're drying things in here. Did have a few sort of issues moving in. I mean, first and foremost, there's a tiny little bit of mould. It's obviously nothing major. And when we first put the shower on, we turned it on and got it running and whatnot, and it just blew straight off the wall. It completely knackered the joint on there, so just be careful of that.
Power showers, however, we did get a courtesy call from the reception team not long after we actually got into the room, just as a standard check to check that everything was all right. So we told them about the shower. They had it fixed within the next 3 or 4 hours that we were out and about.
Yeah, because I mean, what we left the hotel room at about 7 o'clock, I think it was, in the evening after the courtesy call, and then we were back into the room, for about 11 or something like that. So obviously, in that time, they did fix it. So yeah, I'll give them props to that. And every other issue that we've had, they've only been minor little things. They've been absolutely fine with, like, the constant losing of cards. We have lost quite a few room keys. Don't know what it is about this trip, but yeah. We managed to lock.
Standard. You obviously get your key coded card. This for Portaventura also gets you in. This is your access for Portaventura Park and Ferrari World as well. So it's one of these. If you lose it, you've got to let them know, because
otherwise you can't take part in everything.
Like Dave says, you can't get in, and then they disable the cards that you've lost as well.
Yeah.
So.
But other than that, yeah, it's been absolutely fine. It is worth sort of noting, if I just turn myself around and do this sort of thing. It is worth noting that this is the El Paso, as we've said. It's one of, I think, 3 hotels that doesn't have any sort of early access to the park. I think it's 2 of the others have access to Uncharted between 8:30 and 10:30, and it is well worth upgrading to those if you can, because the Uncharted queue is unnecessarily long for what it is. But so this is Hotel El Paso. That was our room. A little bit of a tour and just some information on reception and things like that. So yeah. Hello. We're in Reyes Airport currently. And because we've got to talk about them while we're in the park, let's talk some water rides. So the first one's Tatuki Splash, which is I think it's an Intamin built Shoot the Chutes. It's the same model as Tidal Wave at Thorpe Park.
Only it's got an extra drop and a bit more scenery.
Yeah, there's a bit more to it. It's Tidal Wave trades off the the length for having a big splash, whereas Tatuki Splash is longer and not quite as soaking. But it's still a very nice ride, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Good fun. It's just it's one of those crowd pleasers. Sitting in a lovely, nice Polynesian area.
Yeah.
Next one is Silver River Log Flume, which is a log flume. Who would have guessed it?
And it's based in the Wild West area. It's quite a big log flume. It's one of the longest we've ever been on. It's got 3 lift hills and ergo 3 drops. All of various different heights as well.
I can't remember it now, but I'm fairly certain it goes like sort of intermediate drop, smaller drop, then larger drop at the end. Always keep like a large drop at the end.
Yeah, nice bit of interaction with it because it runs along with the mine train and also the train that goes around the park as well.
Yeah, same
so
as the mine train.
Nice to sort of see
everything
and wave to
once.
other people, essentially as they're going around on their respective rides.
Yeah,
as well.
Everything's going around at once. It's lovely.
And
then
it will get you wet.
Yes, that one got us a lot more wet than what Tatuki Splash did. And then the next one is Grand Canyon River Rapids, which is very reminiscent of the pants ones that we have in the UK.
Yeah, it's quite a tame river rapids. It is generally faster than UK rapids, but as for sort of things happening in it and you getting wet,
there's not a lot.
There's not a lot that goes on.
Yeah, there was a couple of waterfalls, but not quite as good as what the Alton Towers ones are. But it's a lot more well themed. Is Grand Canyon River Rapids, so I think you take it for what it is. It's just a nicely themed rapids ride, but more of a it's a rough like water ride rather than anything else.
Yeah.
Barely any wet action from that one. So that's those two.
And then the fourth one was Angkor, which is it's down behind Shambhala. Now, if you're the first time here, it's properly kind of hidden. To be fair, it's well out the way, but go and pay it a visit. It isn't your standard sort of splash boat battle ride, but we come off absolutely soaking on it, and it's a wicked sort of load of fun. There's enough times where you can shoot at the boats that are coming up behind you or have gone in front of you, but there's also targets around which actually when you hit them things happen.
Yeah, it could do with
really,
a bit of a
really nice.
refurb, I think, because some of the targets didn't do anything and the ones that we did hit, barely anything happened. But don't go for that. Go for the express intention of getting soaked and soaking others, because it's just the right laugh. Everyone's trying to soak each other. It's funny, and that was the one that got us the most wet out of all four of the water rides. But yeah, it's very easy to miss because it's tucked behind Sesame Street. It's under the lift hills and things like that of Shambhala. So it is signposted, but you might be forgiven for thinking that it's an area as opposed to a ride. But no, it's well worth your visit. So that's all four of the water rides done.
Yep.
Dale.
Está guapísimo.
Hello!
Hello!
And here we are in the car. Only it's not our car. It's a dinky little Ferrari. Because we're here at Ferrari Land. We've waited an unholy amount of time for this. This is Maranello Grand Race.
Yep.
Very similar to Flamingo One at Flamingo Land, yeah. Only longer queue, but operations seem to be a bit better than they are at Flamingo Land. As you can see, Tracy's wrestling it. Eye on the road, you.
My eyes are on the road.
And yeah, since we've got into Ferrari Land, we've only been here a good couple of hours. But we've only done two rides. We've done Red Force and we've done this. Red Force is a phenomenal ride. Great forces and whatnot. Looks really sort of intimidating and impressive. There it is. Definitely better than Stealth in my opinion. But not quite number one ride for me, but still a really, really good one. Just goes fast as we go. What about you? What did you think?
It was alright. The launch was better than Stealth's, but the actual ride itself, not as good. Not as good.
Here we are in a tunnel. Let's turn you around. But we are quite enjoying Portaventura. I was going to say Fantasia, then it's not even in the same country. Yeah, Portaventura, it's excellent in quite a lot of regards, but we'll go into that in a bit. You're resting the wheel there.
Yeah, crashed it.
Yeah. this one's fun. Red Force is fun. I think after this we're going to just spend some time taking some photos. Then we're going to go for tea, which I'll highlight. How that's going to be working a bit later in the video. And then we're going to come back in for around about 7, 8 o'clock to see the rest of the day out in Ferrari So we will see you around.
We will. Bye bye.
So this next bit is just going to be a bit of a discussion about our thoughts and experiences of the booking process and Leeds Bradford Airport, Reyes Airport, and everything in between. Because we're now our final step is getting on the plane to come home. So we booked it as a package through Portaventura's website, and that came with flights, accommodation, park tickets, the whole shebang on a half-board basis. They do offer room only and full board or all inclusive, and the all inclusive package was quite tempting, but ultimately we didn't see the point of paying the extra when we got enough from that. Anyway, going through Leeds Bradford was very simple. We flew with Ryanair for the very first time. It's my first time with a budget airline, because I've always been with TUI and things like that when we've gone to other countries, and they handle everything. You just follow the signs that says TUI. When we got to Leeds Bradford, we got a little bit of confusion, didn't we? Because we, having been on big aeroplanes, went straight to a check-in desk, and you don't need to do that if you've not got check-in bags. So we haven't. We've just got carry-on bags. We've paid for priority, so we get 2 carry-on bags, both 10 kilos. One's like a backpack. The website will tell you the size, and the other one is a bit bigger with you can take it on with wheels and such, and that'll just go in the overhead locker. You can pay for checked-in bags, which gives you even more allowance, but it's a bit unnecessary, is that for what we needed anyway. So we got into Leeds Bradford Airport. We went erroneously to the wrong place. What we should have done is gone straight to security, which is what we did here. Straight to security, because we didn't have anything that needed checking on the plane. Makes sense. In terms of security, we had a bit of confusion because of the 100 milliliter liquids rule, which Tracy will go through. She's going to get the bag out.
Yes. So you can take up to a bag which is 20 by 20 centimeters roughly. These pink ones from IKEA are bang on, because this is what mine is, and
it can hold up to a litre itself. The bag capacity.
Yes. However, within your toiletries allowance, you're allowed anything up to 100 mils, as long as you do not go above 1 litre capacity in total. So as you'll see here, I've got 80 ml in shampoo, conditioner, 60 ml deodorant, I've got some face cream in 50 ml pots, my toothpaste,
etc,
and sun cream, etc, etc. It doesn't come to a litre, but as long as it goes in the bag and you can get the bag closed, and it's less than a litre or up to a litre, they will allow it.
So the confusion came because I was under the impression that you could only take 100 millilitres tops, which I thought was a bit sort of a tight thing. How do people who just travel with carry-on bags manage? And no, it's anything. Any individual bottle can go up to 100 millilitres, and you can carry no more than a litre of that. So if you were to be able to pack it absolutely perfect, 10 bottles is the maximum you can take, but you're not going to be able to take that because obviously nothing just occupies free space. So there was that. Security was absolutely fine once we'd sorted that. The next hurdle we had was
with security. If you are travelling with electronics, you will have to take all of them out of your bags. Now, like sort of us, if you're taking sort of GoPros, cameras,
Nintendo
selfie
Switches,
sticks,
etc.,
switches,
everything.
It's all got to come out.
Yeah.
So that would kind of be the top tip. If you're going to have electronics and that, put them in one bag. It makes it so much easier.
Yeah, I
So
did exactly
much
that.
quicker.
Part of the reason why we have two bags is I could have managed in one bag, but I put all my headphones, my Switch, my GoPro cameras, all the lot, my toiletries and things like that were all in the same bag. So the other bag just got chucked onto the conveyor and that went through the X-ray, whereas this one got emptied and I had to empty everything. If like my earphones, for example, they're in a case, open that case, take the earphones out, sort of thing. And following on from that, prescription drugs. I have prescription drugs. Gaviscon's one of the things that I have, and it's a 600 milliliter bottle, which is it's caused a bit of confusion at both ends. Now I have carried the prescription with me,
Yes.
just in case.
It does say on the Gov website, if you've got prescription medicines, take a copy of your prescription with you. If you've got your name potentially on the box, as in like a sticky label, you should be okay, but take it just to make sure.
Yeah.
So then you can prove that it is actually for you and it's for a medical reason.
Yeah. So if you've got your prescription, you should be absolutely fine. You should be all right because you've got your tablets as well, but you didn't have it. They didn't even question anything like that. If you're taking hundreds of tablets, then yeah, you're gonna have issues. Like my nan does. My nan's got quite a few tablets. But yeah, for us, it was straight plain sailing. So I got through security. And we're about to board the plane, but between security and plane, we obviously needed something to eat, so we did have a wander around Leeds Bradford. There were a few places to eat, exactly the same as there are here in Reyes, but Reyes is very sort of minimal compared to Leeds Bradford, which is also very minimal compared to Manchester. But anyway, so we got on the plane, boarded it using steps and such. There's no air gates, and the seats that we had, we didn't pay for any additional extras or anything like that. They were just big enough for me. I wouldn't have minded a bit more space, but there was enough room between me and the seat in front. No reclining options or anything like that. Very basic, but.
Yeah.
Not much to complain about, really, was there?
No. Flight was nice and smooth. It was fairly quiet. We didn't have, thankfully, too many children crying their eyes out.
No children, no drunks or anything like that. But that's not something, obviously, that Ryanair specifically have problems with. But it didn't. I don't sound horrible or anything like that, but Ryanair didn't feel any different to what TUI did or Thomas Cook when we flew with Thomas Cook. It felt very professional and things, though Leeds Bradford Airport was a bit of a mess. That was about the only thing that I sort of noted. But anyway, so we're on the plane, we sat down and whatnot, fly over, that's absolutely fine. We got landed in Reus, absolutely fine, and it was a case of straight off the plane into passport control, got stamps for welcome to Spain and such, and then we just sort of wandered through, and as we come through to a gate, there was a bloke with a sign that says David Rowe on it. So it's like, hey!
Slightly rock starry.
Yeah, and yeah, he just pointed us in direction of a sort of a travel agency. We went in there, we didn't even go in there, and they just knew that our names were there because we were the last ones to arrive. Onto the coach, straight onto the coach, and the coach took us literally right to the front door of the last
hotel.
What was the hotel called?
El
Paso Hotel. Into check-in, and off we went. Had our holiday and whatnot, and that's great. Now obviously we're at this point. Exactly the same happened in reverse. When it came to checking out, we just closed the hotel room door, left, had our day in the park, got everything sorted. As we said, we put stuff in the lockers and whatnot, and then a minibus arrived, picked us up, stopped off a couple of other places, and literally dropped us straight here. And it was extremely straightforward coming through security, exactly the same as it was at Leeds Bradford. Empty all electrics and things like that. We got swabbed, didn't we?
We did, yeah. We got randomly checked for drugs, and partly due to the amount of electronics that we were carrying as well.
We don't know that. No way knowing that. But I think it's just because obviously there's very few people, so it's easy to do random checks like that. But yeah, it was dead simple. Exactly the same as Leeds Bradford. We didn't go to the check-in desk. We just went straight to passport control and security, and here we are. We're just sat in duty free now, waiting for our flight.
Waiting area.
In the waiting area. I'm watching our flight on Flight Radar because it was about half an hour ago.
Over.
Yeah, about half an hour ago it left Leeds Bradford, so we're looking forward to watching that land a bit later on, and just reminiscing because literally just over there we can still see Portaventura. it's lovely is around here. Just the fact that you can see everything from everywhere.
It is, and I think sort of that's a credit to kind of Portaventura, and when they've built it, they've purposely chosen a spot where no matter where you kind of are within a kind of 20-minute radius of the local area, as the crow flies, you can see something in the park.
Yeah.
Whether it's Shambhala, whether it's Red Force,
or
Huracan Condor.
Yeah.
And like to say sort of you get here and you're just like, ooh, there's the theme park, and then there's an oil refinery and a chemical plant on the other side, and there's a bunch of trees in the middle. You just sat there going, well, okay, didn't expect that, but it's something different. It's something interesting.
Yeah, it's just a nice area. It's literally flat, and when you do get here, you'll see the sort of the entire area's ringed mountains. It is quite lovely.
Yeah, some of the taller rides in the park really, really do give a lovely, lovely view of the area with the Catalonia mountains in the background and sort of Salou and other things.
Other things. While Tracy coughs herself to death, one of the things that I did note, welcome back, is that Portaventura could really do with either modifying Huracan Condor or potentially replacing it for an observation tower, because I think something of that height would be really nice to not only see obviously the whole of Portaventura but the whole area, because that is pretty much the tallest thing in the area. Really, really nice to see. We can highly advise booking with Portaventura. I would imagine it'd be the same if you book with Jet2 or anything like that. It's probably even easier if you want to do it yourself, where you book your flights individually and whatnot. The only thing that I will say is that, as probably many people have pointed out, Ryanair pester for additional upcharges. So if you were to just book your flights and your hotel and everything like that with Portaventura and nothing else, you'll get badgered for travel insurance. You'll get badgered for seat upgrades. You get badgered for fast track in security. You'll get badgered for private transfers. It's a bit annoying, but it's one of those things. Everyone gets marks and emails these days, so I just kind of ignored them. But yeah, pleased with Ryanair, pleased with Portaventura. Everything was handled lovely. If you ever have any issue, any sort of thoughts, I'm not quite sure, because it doesn't tell you the exact intricate details of when things are happening and what's going on. Don't worry, just go with it, and it's absolutely fine. Get yourself to Portaventura. Wonderful place.
Yep.